Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Alan. Being an actress or an actor is a very desirable job. If you make it to the top, you can make tons of money and also you can express yourself creatively. Then there's also fame. Lots of it, if you're into that kind of stuff. Now there is a darker side to acting. It's not always easy and sometimes it can be downright dangerous to your health. Today we're going to talk about 10 times actors sacrifice their health for a role in a film. First, let's start off with Christian Bale, who seems to have a weird and potentially dangerous obsession with massive weight changes in preparation for a film. He gained 109 pounds to play Batman in Batman Begins, right after losing a large amount of weight to play Mark Wahlberg's crackhead brother in The Fighter. He's perhaps most famous for losing 63 pounds in order to play a man suffering from insomnia in the movie The Machinist. And more recently, Christian Bale will be playing Dick Cheney in a biopic. We're not exactly sure how much weight he had to gain for the role, but he did eat a lot of pies. Our next actor decided not to gain 60 pounds because, well, it's terrible for your health. Luckily, he had prosthetics and an uncanny ability to blend into almost any type of character through pure skill and perseverance. We're talking, of course, about Gary Oldman in his portrayal of Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour. During the filming, Oldman reportedly smoked around $20,000 worth of cigars. If you are trying to quit smoking cigars, I highly recommend you not watch this film, because he's literally smoking the entire movie. If you aren't trying to quit cigars, I do highly recommend you watch this movie. It's probably in my top 3 movies from last year. Anyway, over the course of the film, Oldman smoked 400 Romeo and Juliet Cuban cigars and contracted nicotine poisoning. Once the filming ended, the actor went and got an enema, which led to him winning an Oscar. Playing Jesus in a film isn't easy. A lot of things can go wrong. And in Jim Cavaziel's case, during the Passion of the Christ, almost everything went wrong. He accidentally got whipped, suffered from pneumonia, hypothermia, dislocated his shoulder, and got struck by lightning, which either meant God was extremely pissed off that he was trying to pretend that he was Jesus, or that he was just slapping him on the back. It also should be noted that this was the second time the actor was struck by lightning. Now, if you followed Jackie Chan's earlier movies in Hong Kong, you're probably wondering how he's still alive. A combination of ambitious choreography, lack of safety, and stuntmen on Hong Kong movie sets, and a drive to just be better than everyone else has landed Jackie Chan in the hospital dozens of times. Perhaps his most epic and horrifying injury happened on the set of his movie Police Story 3: Super Cop. In the film, not only does he become one of the few people to ever survive getting hit by a helicopter, he also dislocated his cheekbone and shoulder. The Joker has been played by some fantastically deranged individuals like Jack Nicholson and Jared Leto, but one man's portrayal of the villain will always be remembered as the best. We are talking, of course, about Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Although there have been mixed reports of Heath Ledger's mental health while filming this movie, it's reported that Ledger approached the role through some very intense method acting. It was said that Ledger would lock himself in a room for extended periods of time while trying to delve deeper into the sick mind of the Joker. He was reportedly lighthearted and enjoyable to be around most of the time. But when the filming started, he would recede back into his Joker notebook, and at times he was so disturbing he would scare his co-stars. It's very possible that Heath Ledger just worked way too hard on the film. It was reported that he had trouble sleeping and later developed a dependency on sleeping pills. After filming The Dark Knight, his health progressively got worse, and his dependence on pills became worse as well, until he finally OD'd. Jake Gyllenhaal is used to being in uncomfortable situations, whether that be being inside a large plastic bubble or with Heath Ledger. But in order to prepare for the 2015 biopic Everest, Gyllenhaal used a hyperbaric chamber to simulate altitude sickness. It's reported that he stayed within the chamber for 3 days at an oxygen pressure similar to 26,000 to 36,000 feet. Which is kind of hard to believe. Most individuals will die if they stay at 26,000 feet for more than a day or two without oxygen. But somehow Jake survived, but he did suffer from severe depression afterwards. Steve Jobs was a weird guy who did many brilliant things. He also did many stupid things. One of those very stupid things was becoming a fruitarian. Fruitarians have diets that consist of only fruits. Some fruitarians will supplement their diets with other things so that they don't die, while other fruitarians will only eat fruit that fall out of trees or something like that. While fruits are very healthy, they do lack many key nutrients and are quite high in sugar. A diet of just fruit is not only idiotic, but also dangerous to one's health. An unbalanced diet like this, which also is high in sugars, could, for instance, lead to pancreatic cancer. Naturally, when trying to channel his inner Steve Jobs, Ashton Kutcher also adopted a fruitarian diet, which was stupid because Steve Jobs wasn't only a strict fruitarian, he was also a vegetarian, which is a much safer and nutritionally balanced kind of diet if you really do want a method act. It was also very stupid for Ashton Kutcher to do this because a month later, he ended up in the hospital with severe stomach pains. After doing several tests, Kutcher found out that his pancreas levels were off the charts. As we talked about before, sometimes actors will go through extreme weight changes in order to prepare for a role. The reason such large weight changes are dangerous is because it can put an unnecessary amount of stress on many of the body's systems and organs. Tom Hanks lost extreme amounts of weight to play an AIDS sufferer in Philadelphia, and later on a castaway in Castaway. Later on in life, Tom Hanks developed type 2 diabetes. While he acknowledged this might be due to lifestyle choices and genetics, he also believes that extreme weight change also led to him developing this disease. A lot of cocaine was done in The Wolf of Wall Street. There were literally mountains of it, and Jonah Hill was oftentimes the one shoving his face into it. And while the film wasn't using actual cocaine, they were definitely snorting something up their nose. Usually this meant some kind of white powder like instant milk or vitamins. The problem is whenever you snort a large amount of anything into your lungs for an extended period of time, you'll end up in the hospital, which is what happened to Jonah Hill. He got bronchitis for 3 weeks after having so much crap being snorted into his lungs. Growing Up, Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a film that stood out from the rest. It featured several live-action actors combined with animations, and they seemed to be able to interact with each other perfectly. Well, it turns out that was because Bob Hoskins, the man who played Eddie Valiant, actually started hallucinating that the characters were there on set with him after spending several hours each day for 8 months talking to and hearing a fictional character that wasn't there. When the shooting ended, Hoskins continued to hear and see Roger Rabbit. He immediately went to a psychiatrist, who advised him to take a vacation and get away from acting for a while. As you guys might expect, actors aren't usually all that smart. They only play smart people on TV or in films. But one can't help but respect or at least laugh at the extremes some of these actors went to in order to portray their characters. There's just 10 instances where actors actually deserve the high salaries that they were paid. Well guys, if you enjoyed this movie or if you want to see American Ben snort a massive amount of milk powder up his nose, please subscribe and hit that notification button. Well, thanks for joining us today. Remember, life is a movie and you guys are the protagonist.